Today we're going to be talking about just a general overview, but with a focus on what's new in the latest release that came out at the end of February, beginning of March. So there are a lot of exciting things that are in that release. Some of them will even be breaking out to focus on in whole new webinars. Today, Max Katz will be presenting.
All right, so what we're going to do today. So first I'm going to show you the new Bootstrap and AngularJS support. Then we'll go into App Creator Express, which is a really nice feature that you can generate a complete mobile app literally in seconds. And then quickly we mentioned, I'll talk about UI themes, that we move them into plugins. But that's the plan for today. All right, so let's go to the platform and let's click Apps. All right, and let's create a new app and create new, and we'll call this Bootstrap AngularJS webinar. And then so when you do that, you want to make sure you select this template. You'll get this message that right now this support is in beta. So that means that we're still adding new stuff. But what's important that when you guys do try this support, we definitely would love to hear feedback from you, right? And so that's how we can improve. We can add more features. So again, when you try Bootstrap and AngularJS, do let us know what you think or what we can add or remove. So let's click Create. All right, and so we just created a new Bootstrap AngularJS app, and let's open the first page. All right, so this is our device, and right here these are Bootstrap components. Right here you can see the different screen sizes. If you guys work with Bootstrap, you know that there are these 4 sizes that Bootstrap defines: extra small, small, medium, and large, and then for screen sizes. And that what sort of allows you to kind of be responsive, define how various components look depending on the screen size. All right, so let's build the UI first, and then we're going to use a navbar component, right? And what's nice is that the navbar component is sort of responsive out of the box. And what we also did is that when you add a component, most components will have this kind of a help section, just kind of explains you what it does, and maybe with a link to documentation to get you more help. Right? So let's change this to app, and then we can double-click on the bars here, and then we can change the menus here. So this will be employees. Now, so the app we'll be building will connect to a database that holds employee information, and we'll display this information in a table or a responsive grid. This may be insurance, is just an example. And then, if we don't want this, we can delete it. All right, and we can collapse it. So this is now how it looks. All right. Now, what's nice is that you can actually switch to a different size, and you can see that actually it's responsive not only when you run it, right, but it's also responsive during development. All right, so which is nice. All right, so this is for the menu or the navbar. Now let's get a grid component. The grid is right here. All right, and what we're going to do, we're going to add one more row here, and we're now going to make some changes so that it will sort of resize itself automatically. But basically what we're saying is that, so these are the sizes here, and we're going to say that if the screen size is small, right, or basically bigger, right, so it's 768 or bigger, we would like to display the information in 3 columns. If it's smaller, we would like to drop it into 1 column, right, for smaller screens. So we're going to remove this, make this 4. Oh, this is 4. And then the last one Oh, let me just delete this. I don't think we need this one. Here we go. So Bootstrap has this kind of a virtual 12 virtual columns, right? And basically we're saying that the first column will take up 4, the first cell takes up 4, and then the second one takes up 4 as well, and then the third one takes up 4. So again, anything bigger than 768 we want to display in 3 columns, right? Because we have enough room. But anything smaller we want to drop into 1 column, right? And you can see if we add, let's add a text label component into each one. All right. And so if I switch to small, oh, for some reason it didn't. Oh, let me. So it resized, but it didn't. I was hoping the text to be here. So let's try this again here. Let me delete. Let me add. Let's one more. Let me activate the properties. Put this 4. Okay. Let's try this. Put the text. All right. So you can see now it's also responsive here as well, right? So in small we get 3 columns. In extra small, right? So this is for the UI. But even before we start adding the model and show you the AngularJS stuff, we can of course test this, right? Right. So you can see now I'm in small, right? So that's why I see the 3 columns. Once I switch to extra small, notice that the menu, the nav bar, automatically changes, right? And you can see now we have 3 this data in 1 column. All right. So what I can do, you guys can try this. I'm going to make this public, and if you guys want to try this on your computers, you can do that. So first, I'm going to put a link into GoToWebinar for you. All right. And let me click send here. All right. And if you guys want to scan this QR code, you can do that as well. All right. So there's one more thing one more change we're gonna do. I think at the end, there's one more change we need to do to make it scale correctly on the mobile device. But we'll see. We can probably do this.
You want people to send a note if they're successful?
Yeah, sure. And then you can just try right here and see. Try change the screen sizes. All right. Right. All right, and it's public. Anyhow, so let me continue again. I put a link into GoToWebinar, so you guys can just click on it and try it. But let's get to our model. And so I'm going to open a database. I already have a database created. And the database is human resources right here. And it's pretty simple. I got a name, email, and some more information here. So my goal is to display this information in the app. So let's go back here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a model. And we go to Project, Storage and Model. And we'll call this employee, and then we're going to add 3 properties. So name, email, and maybe place. Right? Now I'm going to add employee list, and this is going to be an array, and the array will contain an employee. Right, so this is the model. Right, next I'm going to generate a service to connect to the database. So we're going to create new database services, select the database, and then we can select, we just need one service, which is the list here, and we're going to generate it. Now we can open the service, and we can test it, right? And we get all the names from a database. Okay. So let's go back here. So notice where I'm in design view. What I'm going to do now is change the scope, right? And this is where I'm going to define my my function and also a scope variable which will hold all the employees. So first we're going to do list, and it's going to be of employee list type, right? So this is where I'm defining an AngularJS variable, right? It will be available to me via the scope object. Here I'm going to create a function, get employees, right? And now I'm going to edit the function. Okay. So what we did is that we created snippets that you can automatically insert, and when I click this, this will does a service invocation. So all I need to do is basically just change the service name, and in the future we're planning to add code assist support. So you can just press Control Spacebar, for example, and it will show you all the services that you have created. But for now, we're just going to get this name and enter the name, enter the service name. So notice that we do mapping, right? So this is the input mapping to the service, and this is the output mapping. Because we're getting all the employees, there is nothing really for the input. But we do want to do the output mapping. And we click the mapping and expand. Right? So this is the service, and this is the AngularJS scope. You can see scope, and this is, we just placed one variable in the scope, or I defined one variable. What we can do is we can just map like this. So basically, get all the stuff that you get from the database and just put it in that list object in the scope. Right? And what happens when you do that, this code is automatically generated and inserted for you. Okay, so you don't have to really write anything. All right, so this is it for the model, right? So we put a variable into a scope, and we created our controller basically. Next is we need to bind the controller to the UI. So let's go back to the design, and let's expand. So when we click, right, we would like to invoke that function. So we go to, you can see ng is added automatically, and we can do click. First of all, you get all the options here. So we can select ng click, and then for the attribute, if you press Control Spacebar, I get the function, right, that's available in the controller, and I can select get employees, right? So you don't have to type the name. So that's for the invocation. And now let's go to the grid. Let's collapse this. And now the grid is, again, ng is right there, and you can see we can do repeat here, and then and again you can see you get a code assist, right? And so this is what we get. And the last thing is that we need to bind the stuff inside the grid. And so we're going to select the text component. So the only thing for now, we don't have code assist right here, so you have to just sort of type the name, but we're planning to add code assist as well. But for now, we'll just do copy and paste. This is going to be email, and the last one is going to be actually place. All right, and that should do it. So again, design. This is where we build the UI, right? Scope. This is where we define the scope variable, and this is basically our get employees as a function in the controller. And one more thing I want to show you is that the bindings here. So right now, let me expand all. Right now, this is read-only mode, but we're working on making possible so you can actually create the connections. But this just shows you how the page is bound to the controller, right? So you can see in the click here, right, is bound to this function, and the grid let me show you here. So the ng repeat, right, is bound to the list that contains all the employees, right? So and again, this kind of helps you visualize what's happening on the page, and should also help you debug the app if you need to. But let's go ahead and run this. And if I click employees, right, so you can see that I get a list. Now, because I'm in small screen, I'm able to, I'm using all three columns. If I go, of course, here, there's obviously enough space for all three columns. But when I go to extra small, there is not enough room anymore, and then you can see that basically the information is displayed in sort of in one column, right? And then we get the menu. The menu is right here. All right. So this is how this works. So let me go back. So this is again. So this is sort of the Bootstrap and AngularJS support. If you obviously this is just a very small portion of what you can do, but you can also define routing. You can create directives and do many other things. And again, as I mentioned, this is still sort of in beta, and again, we're making this better, and we'll be adding more stuff. And I already also mentioned that if you guys can send us feedback as to what you would like to see, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, that would be great. It will definitely help us understand what kind of features you guys want out there. All right. And of course, the Bootstrap AngularJS is available to everyone right now. So it doesn't matter which plan you have. All you need to do is to select the right template when you're creating a new app. So let me close, and let me now show you App Creator Express. And the App Creator Express is available right now in a jQuery mobile app. So let's create a, call this jQuery mobile, and we'll use a phone app.
So you're saying, Max, that you have to choose. You can't
Yes.
have AngularJS and App Creator.
Correct.
Right
Correct.
now.
Yes, the App Creator Express will be adding to the Angular Bootstrap as well, but right now it's available when you're building a jQuery mobile app. And so the very first thing I'm actually going to do, and I can just open this page, but so this is how it looks. But the very first thing I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to define the model. And I need the model so I can generate the app based on the model. And so, for example, let's say we got an insurance object. And then maybe the insurance has a couple of properties, such as name, type, and maybe, I don't know, notes as an example. All right? And then maybe there's an agent object where we can say also name, email, and we'll use notes as well, right? So basically, you kind of you design your app model right here, and that's sort of basically all you need to do. You can create other objects, of course, entirely up to you. But this is sufficient just to show you how this feature works. All right. How do you invoke the App Creator Express? You go to Create New, and it's actually an extension. And if you're wondering why it's called an extension, it's because we can actually deploy this feature and make changes to this feature independently on the platform, and that's why we call it an extension. And that's going to enable us to push changes to this feature again without impacting the platform. So that's why it's called an extension.
But there's no other impact on a user. It's just
exactly.
Except that you can rely on it being updated more frequently.
Yeah, and I mean, we can easily add the new extension here. So again, they just kind of simplifies development for us, and updating features and pushing new features. So Upgrader Express. All right. Oh, so when I get here, I forgot to click Save. So I need to save the changes that I made. Save, and then I'm going to hit Refresh because I don't see the stuff that I just created. Right? You can see now it says App, so Insurance, and then Agent. Now this database here is actually coming from here. So in addition to creating an app from a brand new model, you can actually also use an existing database, and that's why this database section is here. In our case, we would like to create a new database, right? We don't want to use an existing one. But again, you can generate your app from an existing database as well. And we'll call this Webinar DB, right? And then we need to select which objects we would like to use. Okay? So select the two objects, and then we're going to click Generate. Right? There is some information that is shown to you, but what's important is that that Upgrader Express will generate the pages, services, and everything you need for the app to run. And also, a backup of the current app will be created. So if you ever need to go back, you can always go to versioning and roll back to this version before running Upgrader Express. So let's click Generate. All right, and we're done. So as I mentioned in my slide, I mean, it literally takes a few seconds to generate an app. This is telling you what was generated. The only thing right now, you do need to reload the app builder, and this is so we can get all the latest stuff that was generated. So let's do that. Just all right, and you can see now the pages, right? So these are all the pages that were generated, and then we can open one of them. Right, and so this is how it looks. We can maybe open the insurance page. Right, so this is how it looks. You can see there will be a list of all the insurance types, and then we can also search. And of course, there are also services. And what's nice actually is, well, let's run the app. Why don't we just run and see what it does? All right, so this is running the app now. You're probably wondering what's this name, number, type number. So that's actually, we generated some data automatically, right? So you kind of see how the app works. And also so you can search. So for example, if I do type 39, oh, didn't work. Let me maybe go by name. Let me try this, 85. Okay, yeah, I think it goes by name. So you can actually search. So that's why we put some data, right? The name and the type, that's the name of the columns that I use. But you can obviously, if I go to the database, if I open the database, Webinar DB here, so you can see the two collections were created, and this is just the data to help you get started. Now, I can click on an item and I can change the name. So maybe this is auto insurance and type cars only. Some notes. And then save. And then of course you can see that the item is updated. And then if you want, you can create a new item as well, and then it will appear. So for example, life insurance. Save, and you can see that a new item was added. And then you can use this menu which slides right, and so you can navigate to the agent screen as well. Right? So the idea is that by defining a model or using an existing database, if you have one, you can generate a CRUD app, which stands for create, read, update, delete, or master detail, also sometimes referred to as. Again, you can generate this literally in a few seconds, and you can use this as a starting point for your app, right? So it's a pretty neat feature that again you can sort of have a complete working app very fast, right? So that's for the App Creator Express. Now the last thing I want to mention is where you get the themes. So if I go to your app settings, we used to have a list of themes right here. It was a long list of themes, but what we did now is move them into plugins. And one of the main reasons we move them into plugins is that so we can make changes to the theme without impacting your app, right? So it's not hard-coded anymore. And how do you get the new themes? Well, you just go to Add More Themes, and it opens the plugins window. Or it's, of course, the same thing if you go from plugin, right? Same thing. And let's see here. So you can see all the themes are now here. So if I want to, let's see here. There's a Bootstrap one. So let's get the Bootstrap, right? And then import. Right, and so you just import the theme, and it will be now listed right here, and we can now select. Right, we can select the theme, and then you can select different swatch. Right, and you can see now. So let's see here. All right, yeah, and so this is where you get. So you can see it's a different theme. All right, and again, so what happens now if you make changes to this, right? This theme is local to you. Now, if you want to make changes to this theme for whatever reason, we can make changes to the plugin, right? And then you can decide whether you want to continue using the one you changed, or maybe you want to import the updated one. So that's one of the reason we moved stuff into plugins. All right. All right. And the only other thing I want to mention is that this the App Creator Express, it uses templates, right? So again, if you're starting with App Creator Express, it does use page templates. So definitely check out the main template is right here, and it also uses custom components. So again, it's a great way to see how all this stuff works together when you're building your app. All right, so let's close. All right, and we're back here. So let's go back quickly to the slides, and this is where we are. So we're able to show you everything. All right.
All right. Thank you, Max. Before Max starts answering some questions, we want to tell you about our next webinar, which will be on Thursday this time, April 9th. It'll be at the same time, 11 o'clock. The theme will be, it'll be zeroing in on something that we talked about today as one of the new features, which is AngularJS and Bootstrap. But it's not just about them. It's about the whole general idea of how you use Appri.io to build responsive web apps. So this should be a very interesting webinar. You already got a little taste of it today in this What's New webinar. And You can see the link there is for Plancast. That's where we keep our events and things that we're going to. If you go there, you'll be able to find a registration link to get to sign up for the next webinar. I hope we see you there. All right, and while we answer the questions, we'll leave this screen up. This gives you the contact info for Apri. You see my email. I'm more the marketing side, so if you don't see the YouTube link, then I'm the person you contact. If you have more technical questions about Apri.io, you need to just contact Max. He likes getting emails from people. There's the link to the Dev Center. We consolidate all of our resources, our learning resources for Apri.io in this one place, so you can just use that link to go everywhere. And of course, you can connect with us through Twitter, through Facebook, and also through Plancast, which is a kind of social media kind of calendaring app or web app. So let's start going to the questions. All right, Max. Here's a good question that was from when you first started, which is you've already got an app built. Can you turn it into an AngularJS/Bootstrap kind of app?
The answer, unfortunately, is no. It's not because the platform, is not able to do that. It's because the technologies under the hood are just completely different, right? I mean, jQuery Mobile versus AngularJS and Bootstrap, they're just very different technologies. So just converting is not really an option.
So all you have is whatever design idea you had in your mind. You've done that work at least. It's just a question of you'd have to port it over separately.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Can the Angular, Bootstrap, and jQuery frameworks all be used together in the same app?
Yeah. So the first two, Angular and Bootstrap, absolutely. That's what I showed. But the jQuery Mobile, no.
Oh, okay.
Now you can use
to go back to the first question.
Well, no. So again, the way it's set up here is, again, you get Angular and Bootstrap, and then jQuery Mobile is separate. Now, if the question is about jQuery as the core framework, you actually could use it together, but again, we don't have it as a dependency. We just sort of don't see a need for it.
Right.
But it could be used if you need to.
Okay. And then here's a question. Will App Express also generate user-specific security and set the ACL object?
Yeah, so not yet. Not yet.
That's definitely on the roadmap.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. Here's a question from someone about a suggestion more about the themes. That I think this is similar to the way that WordPress works when you're trying to set a new theme for your WordPress site, is being able to preview how the app will look if you use a different theme or not. Is that something that's been considered as a roadmap feature, or?
Oh, preview. Oh, I see. No, it's actually a pretty good feature. I don't remember if we ever considered that, but we'll definitely add this feature to our list.
Okay, and since this is a kind of general webinar, there's a question about the fact that we have so many Salesforce components in Apri.io. This person wants to know if they can be used to replace Visualforce. And then has a very specific question about, will it work with Lightning components? I guess that's a very Salesforce-y kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm not sure what is meant by many Salesforce components.
Oh no, we have a few. That I don't think they're new, but they're in there. But maybe we should just they can just do it off. We can respond to that offline after having a chance to check on that. So
yeah, I mean, as for Lightning, yeah, this is a Salesforce framework for building apps. As I understand, for Salesforce 1, so you can use Apri.io build apps that connect to Salesforce backend. Absolutely, but mixing it with Lightning, I don't think that's really a good way to go.
All right. Can you, well, you kind of answered this about importing an app to start with in order into the Bootstrap environment. That's not, you don't really have an import feature.
No, yeah. So you mean to start with Bootstrap, it would need to be a new app.
Okay. Can we? Oh, here's someone who's asking about adding their own themes. How are we set up in order to accommodate people who want to create their own custom themes?
Yeah, so there are a number of ways, and I think we actually showed it in our last webinar.
Yeah, you don't have to go into detail. Just
but basically, yeah, you can go to a jQuery mobile theme roller. You can create a theme, just basically define any sort of look and feel you want, and then download the theme and then upload it to apply.io.
Okay. Well, here's a question about back to AngularJS. Is there a connection to the Firebase API for the AngularJS template? I tried copying in the JavaScript, but it errors out. Is that question?
Yes. So Firebase API, we're familiar with them. You can just connect. You can just define a REST service and connect to Firebase API. So that's probably the best approach here.
For the other listeners, what exactly is the Firebase API?
It's a. I mean, just to keep it simple, it's a database or a backend exposed via REST API.
Oh,
so
okay.
they provide a database. Yeah. So the best approach, at least in the apply.io platform, is to use the REST service feature, right, and define a service that connects to Firebase backend.
Oh, okay. Here's someone who's asking about any kind of connection between Adobe Muse CC and apply.io. Are you familiar with Adobe Muse?
No, to be honest, no.
That means there is no connection as such.
But I can see that there is a sort of follow-up with regards to animation.
Right.
So again, because the app, I mean, no matter whether it's a jQuery mobile or Angular, I mean, the app is just HTML, JavaScript, CSS. So if this framework is, again, it's a JavaScript library, then yeah, I mean, you can add it to your app and use it.
Okay. Here's a question about reporting. For future releases of apply.io, are there any? He's asking specifically about what he describes as financial hierarchical roll-up reports. But what in the roadmap? What are Are there any things about reporting in the roadmap for the future?
So we are working on analytics for app analytics, but this might be a little bit different.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I guess the question is whether these reports, what kind of backend will be used, right? Is it going to be the apply.io backend or some other backend?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can sort of add more information that would help us.
Okay. Here's a question in Spanish, but I don't speak Spanish. Here's a question. The guy, there's an extra follow-up from that fellow, drilling down on group detail line items.
Yeah, so you can definitely create a report that you can do a group detail and line item. So you can definitely create that today. I mean, you would just have to build that report, right? So you connect to a database or some data source. You show a list of names, right? Then you click on a name, you get details, and so on. So you can definitely do that today.
Oh, okay, great. And here's a question, basic question, but one that's important to address, which is the pricing structure for apply.io. Are there any changes recently in there's a pricing page that everyone should. That's just apply.io/pricing.
Yeah, I mean we can quickly go.
We did add a new kind of tier in there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, so there was that's another new thing since the last release is that we added a new plan called Basic, which gives you one app and any number of pages. So I mean, basically, right? We always had our free plan, but if you're not ready to go to the standard, then I think a really good option is to go with the Basic, which really gives you one app with any number of pages.
Okay. And then one last question, and then we're going to have to wrap it up. There's some confusion about the distinction between responsive mobile apps and responsive web apps. AngularJS is a Bootstrap, whereas they're supporting responsive web apps, not necessarily responsive mobile apps, or are they supporting both?
Yeah, so they can do both. So the AngularJS sort of is the backend for the app, so it doesn't matter for Angular or JS if it's what kind of app. Now the Bootstrap, I mean, the nature of the framework is a responsive web framework, right? So you can do on just a phone, right? An actual phone. You can do a tablet. You can do a screen. You can do a big screen, and that's why Bootstrap defines those 4 sizes, right? And you can and the UI will respond to a screen size. Having said that, you can still build a binary and package it with PhoneGap when you're building a Bootstrap app. If I go, let me go back here just to quickly open the app that I built here. You still get the export menu, so you can still package the app for Android, iOS, Windows Phone, as you always could do that. So you have 2 options. Absolutely, you can build a completely web responsive app for whatever size you need, and you can also build a hybrid app. But also to add, at the very beginning in our diagram, we mentioned Ionic framework. So that's something we're working on. And the Ionic framework is specifically for hybrid apps.
Okay.
Right. So it's specifically for apps that you package with PhoneGap, and then in most cases, obviously, you're going to publish to the App Store.
Otherwise known as Cordova.
So we're basically going to, sort of the plan is we're going to have, obviously we're going to support jQuery mobile, and then we're going to have Bootstrap with AngularJS and Ionic framework with AngularJS.
Okay.